Welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360, Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review the show. I'm your host, Wim Lou. Join my producer and co-host, Alex Wong. The two of us were down at the arena last night as the Toronto Raptors overcame a similarly shorthanded team against the Miami Heat, winning by a score of 112 to 104. Most importantly, beating Kyle for the first time he's left town in the building. So, good vibes all around, Alex. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, William. How are you on this Thursday?
I'm always excited after the Raptors win.
Yeah, we were just watching the Raptors 21-0 run.
Yeah, a lot of Jamal Cain and Nikola Jovic missing wide open shots.
Nikola Jovic, the Pacific Mall two-time MVP. No, I like Jovic. Jovic got some skills.
Does he?
Yeah, this is what people are tuning in for, man. The Nikola Jovic scouting report shows Dwayne Dedman, my favorite player.
Yeah, Dwayne Dedman.
Just an entertaining player.
I hope he's okay.
Wow, what happened? Oh, right.
OG drove baseline.
He got hit in the Dedmans.
Yeah. And, he literally laid on the floor for, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so long, I was calling 3 seconds in the key. From 600. I'm like, listen, man.
Yeah. No,
I'm sympathetic. Don't worry. I am sympathetic.
The Homer
same time, came in. You got to call a timeout to get him off the floor because
Homer Simpson. So
that was tough.
Raptors won 112 to 104.
Yep.
9-7 on the season. You know, we're talking about the over-under total yesterday. It's 216. It was right at 216 yesterday. So,
did he know?
Did who know, man?
I don't know.
That's just the line. Anyways,
Mr. Bet Rivers.
Like you mentioned, Kyle Lowry made his return. We were, in the right place at the right time. Saw him walk into the arena.
Right. Yeah.
In his Bay Street fit.
Yeah. So the Raptors have this back tunnel where obviously all the players and I don't know celebrities and stuff do. Like Drake comes in the back tunnel.
Yeah.
I think Obama went through that back tunnel as well. There's a secret portion. And it's really just staffers back there. And then the media occasionally has to walk to this back elevator that's very obscure that we go up to the 600 level where we sit at. So we went down to go to the Nick Nurse press conference, which was actually quite good, as always, to be honest. And yeah, as soon as we got down there, we saw these cameras huddled up and we were like, oh no, someone really important's to be happening here. I feel like we're going to step in the middle of a shot. And then, it just so happened that it was Kyle Lowry, who was just slightly behind us, and you decide to whip up your phone so you can get 400 likes for our social account.
Yeah, follow the Raptors Show on Twitter for occasional updates from the game. But yeah, Kyle made his return. Not like we mentioned yesterday. Second time coming back, definitely more muted. Got his ovation when the starting lineups were announced, and then that was kind of it, right? And then it was just off to the game.
I mean. Yeah, I think it was almost a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
I understand. Obviously, it wasn't going to be as big of a deal as when he came back last year. That whole ceremony and showing the tribute video and the applause, and he brought his kids. It was such a big thing. And then this year was Kyle's back. We're gonna say his name in the intro. Everyone's giving him an ovation, and then just play the game. I thought maybe there would be one more thing. I don't know.
No, I think, you don't want to overdo it.
I guess, that's true.
And I think there was so much weight to his return last year because when the pandemic interrupted the 2019-20 season, Kyle just never returned to Toronto to play as a Raptor.
Right.
His career in Toronto was just interrupted and it ended in Tampa. And it had been 2 years, I guess, since they saw him? Around 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously the fact that he left to go to Miami. So there was a lot last season when he came back, whereas I guess this time around, and there's going to be time to celebrate Kyle too, right? When he retires.
Sure.
I think maybe there's some expectations that, I don't know, maybe he'll be involved in the organization, or at the very least, he'll be honored in some ways.
I think it's sort of up to them. They can have that conversation, down the line. Clearly the relationship is really good. We saw Masai give Kyle a big hug in the tunnel.
So they're talking again. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, yeah. Well, after they won the championship, they were all good. No, but seriously though, it's just really cool, man. Seeing Kyle come back, and he always had great things to say about his teammates. Hearing Fred talk about his relationship with Kyle after the game. Fred was asked, "What do you guys talk to each other about?" And Fred was like, "First off, it's none of your business." And then he went on to actually say what they talk about. And he revealed that Kyle watches every single Raptors game, which I think is super, super dope. You know, and Kyle has been advising Fred every step of the way in that transition between obviously Kyle was the point guard and even beyond the stuff on the court, just like such a big presence for this organization for like almost a decade. Pivoting from that to handing the reins off to Fred and then continue to advise Fred on a daily basis on some of these things. It's just really beautiful, man. And yeah, I just think that Kyle's like legacy here is going to be kind of everlasting. And to be honest, it adds like even more spice into the Raptors-Heat kind of matchup because those are already very competitive as it is between two pretty good teams. But when you put Kyle on the other side, then you see you see guys like trying to go at him. You see guys trying to score on him, like OG posting him up and carefully avoiding Kyle's flops for charges. You know, like it was just it's just entertaining on that level. And then when Kyle starts to go off like he did in the fourth quarter there, where he was trying to will the Heat back into the game, you're like, damn, the Bears been poked, and now I'm on the other side of this. Like, how many times have we as Raptor fans seen what it looks like when Kyle wills his team back into the game? You know, they're kind of not playing well, whatever, and he rattles off like 5 or 6 straight possessions. That's exactly what happened last night when Kyle was trying to do that for the Heat. When you're on the other side of it, you're like, damn, I can't believe we're getting cooked by him. But it just makes it really really fun, and yeah, it's really fun watching Kyle come back into the arena. Even after the game, I was sitting alone there in the 600 booth, like doing the React pod, and I can like look down, and the whole entire arena is empty except for like some staffers. And Kyle Lowry came back out just to make sure to hug people and just like shake more hands and talk to security. It's great, man. Him giving daps to Zoe, then us giving daps to Zoe.
Yeah. Exactly.
Shouts to Zoe.
Shouts to Zoe, man. No, I think it was cool too. You mentioned the moments after the game, like he shared that embrace with Masai. I know he had a little moment too with Pascal, and obviously all these guys still keep in touch. It just made me think about too. I think Kyle talked a lot during that Tampa season because that was a struggle for Pascal, right? There was the suspension. He wasn't living up to expectations. There was a spotlight on him. And I remember Kyle talking about at the time that, that Pascal will be fine. That after whenever Kyle leaves, that, the Raptors are in good hands with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to kind of flash forward 2 years later and you look at the team. Obviously, Pascal's injured right now, but before he was hurt, we saw him playing at like an all NBA first team level.
Yep.
And, I guess we can transition and talk about OG now. Like, you talk about the core of this team in the post Kyle era of Fred, of OG and Pascal. I don't know, man. I was looking at you last night in the fourth quarter. I was just like, damn, like this might be the best game I've ever seen OG play.
Yeah.
Like if you look at it on the offensive end, like the 32 points, 10 rebounds, 13 of 18 from the field, and he did that only hitting 1 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of things. Like I think, the primary areas in which like OG scores is through the 3-point shooting, which is mostly catch and shoot. And then he scores a lot in transition. And then the stuff in between is a little bit more dicey. Obviously, him driving this year, I think the stats were before last night's game that he was turning over like 1 in every 6 drives, right? And for perspective, like Pascal turns it over like 2% of his drives, not like 16, right? So OG was turning it over. And also he just wasn't shooting a great percentage out of those drives. Either he would go to the rim, and he's pretty good when he gets to the rim, but doesn't necessarily have the greatest like finishing package down there. Or he's going to pull up for that mid-range, which up until this point, a lot of those have been short. There's a game, I think, over the last week or so where when they played Detroit or Indiana or one of those games where he just missed so many of his pull-up jumpers, and all of those were short. So he wasn't finishing and completing those drives. Last night was an example of what it looks like when OG eventually learns to finish all of his drives. He's so he's very, very good at getting into the paint because he's so strong. He's like a bowling ball, right? And the Raptors, were able to sort of highlight OG's strength, in the third quarter when they were doing that 21 to nothing run. A lot of that offense towards the end of that run was just OG coming around a pin down screen away from the play, curling around and then turning downhill, catching the pass, always from Fred, and then just making a decision from there. The first time they ran it, OG was able to see that the defense is sort of like really panicking and going back into the paint. So he like stopped on a dime, pulled up, got great separation from Jimmy Butler, and then was able to knock down a mid-range jumper. The next time down, OG was able to get all the way to the basket. The defense stepped up a little bit, and OG was able to finish at the rim it was called a goaltend because Dwayne Dedmon couldn't get to it in time. Although, to be honest, on the replay, it looked like Dedmon blocked it. But whatever. The Heat also got a undeserved 3 with Caleb Martin in the first quarter. So I guess it all evens out. And then the third time down, and this is 3 straight plays. You see the Raptors run the exact same action. OG comes up to the screen, but rejects it, cuts back door instead, and Fred finds him for a lob, and OG dunks it. So it's like all that kind of stuff is really designed to leverage his downhill gravity. It reminds me of like the Raptors actually used to run that play quite a bit, but they used to run it a lot for Norm. And Norm also had a similar ability where he was able to get to the rim. Now, Norm has this different skill set where he's able to explode a little bit easier and then stretch his arms for finishes. And to be honest, Norm's just a really good finisher around the basket. If OG can get to that level of finishing, in addition to the mid-range game, which I think he's rehearsed, but he just hasn't hit enough of those, when he puts that all together, it's just really hard to guard him because already just based on, his team play, which is the transition plays, the cuts, and also the three-point shooting, that's already going to give him a baseline of like 15 points like per game. Just by doing that alone, you finish like, I don't know, 6 out of 10 drives rather than 3 out of 10 drives right now. You're all of a sudden seeing him average 20 points a game. And then when you go back to the bigger conversation of what OG reportedly wanted in the offseason, although he's distanced himself from that report, but it wouldn't have been surprising if OG wanted more touches and a more involvement in the offense. This is what that involvement in the offense looks like. And that's his path to getting to that 20-point average that we have seen him flirt with at times. Like we saw it last season as well. But, yeah, last night I just thought was really impressive. He had 12 twos. Yeah. That'd be a career high for him in twos.
I love when you start talking about baskets in 3s, 2s, and 1s, man. How many 1s did he have? No, I think,
5 ones.
Coming into life, this is how we're going to start talking about free throws on this. It just sounds cooler, man. It's like Pascal's averaging 9 1s a game. No, I think last year when Pascal was injured to start the season and there was all this conversation about OG, trying to fill that number 1 option role. And, he probably didn't meet the expectations. And, those expectations probably weren't like totally fair. You look at a game like last night, like this is probably what people, holding OG up to those expectations were probably wanting to see. And to be able to see him kind of make this leap now, I think is very encouraging for this team, again, long term. Like that's the thing, like Pascal. So I think tomorrow will be 2 weeks since Pascal's injury.
Yep.
When he slipped on that wet spot, lawsuit coming soon towards Mark Cuban in Dallas. And like, I guess Pascal will be reevaluated this weekend. So hopefully we'll get another update.
Yep.
On, whether it might be a day-to-day, might still be a couple weeks away. But just really excited, man, with Fred back to yesterday from his non-COVID illness, with OG playing the way he is. And, when Pascal gets back, just again, I think we've been saying this for like 2 years. Just really excited to see what the Raptors can be when they're fully healthy.
Yeah, which, I mean, honestly, at this point, like, it's hard to even imagine a scenario where the Raptors are fully healthy because they got Fred back, and then immediately Donald Banton gets an ankle injury, and so he leaves the game in the second half. I'm not even sure what happened on the play, to be honest. It seemed like he fell over on one play, but then kept playing for another minute and then left the game. So not totally sure what happened there, but yeah, I mean, this is the vision, right? You get this version of OG where he's able to drive and be a threat in terms of the catch and shoot threes, the transition, but also the drives. You get Fred, who can play at an all-star level, any given night. I thought he was very good last night as well. His shooting percentage wasn't great, but it was mostly when you watch back on the film, he had to take a lot of late clock scenarios. That's going to drag down your percentage. And also the Raptors scored like 4 or 5 of his missed shots. I'm not trying to, count the Kobe assists, but like I don't, those weren't bad outcomes for the offense, I would say. And then, of course, you have Pascal playing at that all-NBA level. And then, yeah, of course, we need Scottie to also get back to his moments. But the thing with Scottie is, like, when the other guys are playing really well, he can kind of play off of those guys. And I thought it was a nice bounce-back game for Scottie as well. And when you put those 4 together, that's really, really, really good. And you just need, like, a little bit more from the rest of your supporting guys, right? Can Gary get back on track? Right. Obviously, he's been really struggling. It hasn't been the sparkling start to the season, and I think that Gary's capable of, because we've seen it a lot of times last year. Gary can really, explode and almost be a secondary option for you at times, right? You don't score 6 straight games with 30+ by accident. That shows the real talent in this league. And then Chris has found his role. Thad definitely has found his role. Otto is not someone who you worry about. You just hopefully he's on the court because he's also injury prone. But yeah, I mean, like, the team's real solid. Like, there's a reason why we were really enthusiastic about them this year. And of course, they've been, set back with injuries. But as soon as Pascal comes back, and hopefully it's very, very soon, you're probably going to see the Raptors go on a bit of a run.
Yeah, and we've been pushing OG for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, what did Jimmy Butler do last night? I don't remember a single Jimmy Butler play.
I'm not sure. If OG does continue to make this leap, I gotta push him into the most improved conversation as well. I'm ready to make all these pushes.
No.
Yeah, you're very hesitant. Aren't you a big propaganda guy? Don't answer that question.
I am, especially based on your outfit right now.
Oh man, save those jokes for off air, man.
Yeah,
please.
But yeah, I mean, no, I think, most improved is gonna be tough. People always just look at like the change in points. And
Sure.
OG did average like 17, I think, last year.
Okay.
So how much he's gonna have to average like 25?
No,
to be in those
I think if
discussions.
maybe gets to like 22, 23, and throw in his, the spotlight now on his defense, I think there could be a path there. I'm just trying to find a way to pander to the fans.
Okay.
After
fine.
we've talked about how terrible Scotty is for 4 straight shows.
I mean, we weren't talking about how terrible it was. It was just sort of like, how do we fix him? It was in a positive light.
It's just because we have a daily show, man.
It really is, yeah. I think Fred might have called out this conversation. That's
really
maybe indirectly or directly.
I wouldn't give this show that much credit.
Me neither, actually.
Yeah, and maybe we got to push OG for the All-Star game too, man. I don't know.
I think that's a little closer, to be honest. OG's playing really well. He's the only Raptor who's played in all the games so far in the starting 5, and yeah, I mean, he's this is exactly what you want to see. Like, again, you want to see consistency, and again, if he finishes more of his drives, he can do he can do this on repeat, really. It is worth noting that he didn't have Bam, and their only interior big last night was Dedmon, who couldn't move. So, that does also factor in, but at the same time, I think OG has that ability, and I think that's the trend that I'm going to watch this season with him in particular, because if he finishes drives, he's averaging 20.
Okay. Fred came back, 23 points, 8 assists.
Yep.
I guess I have nothing to add. I mean, this is just, Fred's just great. The Raptors are great when Fred's in the lineup, and when he's not, they're a lottery team.
Yeah, when you serve Chinese food, people don't talk about the rice.
Okay.
It's just assumed that it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why Fred family eats rice.
Oh, God.
But if there's no rice in the meal, people are probably going to be like, what's going on here? I'm leaving here hungry.
Yeah.
But no, he was great. 3 lobs. I think there's definitely this discussion that Fred can't throw lobs. Well, I mean, he threw 3 lobs last night. 2 to Christian Coloco and then 1 to OG.
Yeah, I'm glad they threw some decent lobs to Coloco, because what I was noticing like in the first couple of weeks of the season, I don't know if it's because they're not used to having a guy like that they're throwing lobs to. They were throwing it to him like he was 10 feet tall.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was a lot of bad lob passes early in the season.
They were legit throwing it to like rookie Shaq or something. Like there's no way some of those passes were going to connect. But no, I think they've gotten better chemistry on those. And I think it's a completely different look, right? Like when you notice that first shift that Coloco comes into the game, right? And right now he's usually coming to the game with Chris Boucher midway through the first quarter, midway through the third quarter. As soon as Christian Coloco comes in, they usually run a set where they're able to sort of get Fred coming off a screen, then to collect the ball, come off another screen, and then they just throw it over the top back to the side of the floor that Fred stays on or started on, and then the Coloco's there to catch the lob. They usually try to run that as soon as he comes into the game, just because it's such a different shift, right? Like the Raptors in the starting 5 don't have a guy who can do that for you, right? Like usually your starting 5 will have like Pascal, OG, and Scotty. And yeah, those guys can catch a lob here or there, but like it's not the same as throwing it to Coloco. Whereas when he comes in, they immediately look for that because the defense is not used to covering that. So it's a nice play. And also with Fred, I mean, he just played really well. Like I think defensively he was really good as always. Had a couple plays where he was able to manipulate the defense, draw 2 defenders, and then just kick it to Scotty or onto the basket. And I mean, that's his job on the team, right? I mean, yes, he's aggressive and looks to score, but I think he also has that element where he's able to bring order to the offense. And when you compare like how the Raptors offense looked at times last week when Fred was out or sick versus now, this is that was a much more composed offensive showing by the Raptors.
Scotty Barnes, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Fred talked about Scotty after the game, said that no one around here is worried about him and that there's not any young player I would trade him for. And he said, quote, obviously he can play better. We all know that, but trying to make a conclusion. about him as a player is pretty ridiculous. Scotty also talked about how on the recent road trip, while Fred and Pascal were out, they were both texting him, just encouraging him to stay aggressive. And Scotty also said, quote, I feel like my rookie year went kind of smooth. You can see that I'm in a bit of a shooting slump. I realize that. I recognize that. But just trying to stay confident, keep trying to be aggressive, trust your work, not get down. That's what's going to get me through it. That was a good Scotty game yesterday.
Yeah, it was. And, it's funny because Nick is he's pretty hard on Scotty, I would say. Not even hard, it's just like he's just on him, right? I think when you expect great things out of somebody, one approach is to just sort of continuously like ask for more, right? Because they're capable of giving you everything that you ask for when they put it all together. So the way Scotty scored last night was he made like 4 or 5 jumpers right away. Like the first 2 baskets of the game were both Scotty Barnes mid-range jumpers. The Heat were sagging off of him. And that's what confidence looks like. Okay, you're going to sit back on me. The simple read is just for me to go up and shoot it, right? Like if Kyle Lowry's going to be guarding on me on a switch and he's going to play me like 3 feet off, I mean, like Scotty's probably not even seeing him, right? Like it's such a clean, open look. He's able to make those. He had that one like late clock step back. He got 1 foot behind the line and then shot that like 3, and he was able to catch that as well. So he was in a nice rhythm. I thought he took the same approach at the start of the third quarter as well, where his first basket and the Raptors' first basket out of half was Scotty, attacking, I think, Jimmy Butler, and then Jimmy Butler backing up and then Scotty pulling up for the jumper as well. So I think once he has that aspect down, the rest of the game kind of comes more easily to him. He's able to drive a little bit more as well. But I think with Nick, what he said after the game, he's like, yeah, I mean, the mid-range jumpers are, you could tell he was like, yeah, it's good that you made those, but I still want you to drive more and more and more. But yeah, I mean, I think compared to the last couple of games here for Scotty, I think this was much more like himself. And I don't think it's a coincidence that in a game where OG really plays like a number 1 guy, and Fred is able to be your primary playmaker, all of a sudden you're seeing Scotty being able to connect the gaps, right? He's really good at knowing the spaces where he can sort of play off of, where there's a double team on the ball. Fred is getting trapped. Scotty's usually the guy coming over to give him that outlet option, and Scotty's either making the next pass or he's making the bucket himself. And he had a couple of those plays down the stretch where, he's able to catch it for finishes, or on the last play there where OG was trapped, or I'm not even sure that he might have been in the zone, but basically the whole defense was tilted towards OG. And then Scotty sort of flashed to OG's side to catch the ball, to release the pressure, and then swung it opposite court to Chris Boucher for 3. And that quick decision-making, that awareness of his positioning and sort of how to help his teammates, like that's sort of also part of the reason why Scotty had so much success last season. He was able to play off of Pascal, play off of Fred, play off of other guys, in addition to the occasional moments where he creates for himself. And I think, again, when you push those 2 elements together, that's how you have these games for Scotty where he's like 19.6 rebounds, 6 assists. Like it's like half helping your teammates and then half like getting your own. And more recent games, it was like all get your own. And that's why it was like a lot harder for him to be as effective. And also, like, yeah, of course, it helps when you make some jumpers. Like, we know what his game is. Like, the league knows what his game is too, right? They're giving him that space. That's a sign that people are studying his game well. So then it's up to Scotty now to adjust by countering and making those shots. And yeah, I mean, I think he made like 5 jumpers last night. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I got Scotty Barnes conversation fatigue, man.
Me too.
That's enough Scotty for this week.
Okay.
On to another guy that Nick has shown tough love to before, but said pregame that he's outperformed expectations this season. Your friend Chris Boucher. 15 points, 10 rebounds yesterday. This is the best stretch of his career right now, man.
You think so?
I'm going to say that about everybody that's having a live event with us.
There was a stretch in Tampa where he was like the only productive player for the Raptors, and we were calling him Chris Boucher.
He was like in the 6th man of the year conversation. People were pushing for that. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's just in terms of his role, and I think what the team has needed from him, especially in this stretch where they've been shorthanded. Like, we've seen him come up with a lot of impressive games here.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that it's really impressive that he comes off the bench and he's able to be that aggressive and look for his offense, right? I look around the league. There's not that many players who fit that same prototype as Chris. Actually, none, to be honest. Like, obviously, he's like physically unique. The way he's balancing the 3-point shooting and the blocking of corner threes, like all those things are very, very rare elements. But I think the way I watch it is almost like when you see like a Bobby Portis in Milwaukee, he comes off the bench for them, brings that extra pop of size, that physicality. He's around the basket. The plays aren't necessarily run for him, but he knows how to play off of other guys. And he's just super aggressive. Like, how many times we watched the Raptor game where we're like, wow, Bobby Portis, like, really, like, he's going off a little bit, and we weren't expecting that. Like, I think Chris has really found that niche for himself, and also, like, he's had a lot of great scoring performances. We know that. I thought last night he wasn't even that impactful through 3 quarters, and then super, he just came alive, and it was super in the 4th quarter, where, the Raptors obviously had 4 really well-performing starters in Scottie, in OG, Fred, and Thad. And all you needed was one more guy to sort of surround that group. And especially in the second half, when the Heat started bringing more attention, more double teams to OG and towards Fred, you needed somebody to be able to capitalize and finish plays for you. And Chris had 11 points in the 4th quarter. And 2 of those were just cuts to the basket, the little tic-tac-toe connect 4 plays with Thad Young, your boy. And, he also hit that 3. He also got fouled in transition. And, yeah, it was impressive to see from Chris, especially on the night where I thought there was a stretch there where 3 or 4 possessions where he got beat defensively. And sometimes you can kind of see him sort of chase the game, And I think he settled down. His teammates maybe played a part in settling him down. Maybe the coaches played a part in settling him down. But regardless, he settled in, and then he was just able to give you all the good stuff that Chris is able to give you in terms of finishing those plays. And, again, like 11 points in the 4th quarter, that's no joke. When your main guys get doubled, someone needs to capitalize, and Chris was able to do that.
Yeah, and per Chris Black of Sportsnet, so Chris Boucher has got the most double-doubles off the bench in Raptors franchise history.
Already?
With 25. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and number 2 is your boy Donyell Marshall.
Oh.
At 12.
People forget Donyell Marshall
would be
different.
A problem today.
Oh, he would be a problem today, man.
I don't know, quote graphic.
Stretch 5.
Oh, man. Keon Clark, Ed Davis are 3rd with 11 double-doubles off the bench. Number 5 is your favorite Raptor, Amir Johnson. Man. And my favorite Raptor, Serge Ibaka.
Did you see Serge last night, by the way? He had a couple plays where he, like, crossed up a guy on the perimeter and then drove it in for a dunk. I was shocked. I did not know he moved like that anymore.
He feeling himself after that. How hungry are you episode?
Wow.
Be honest.
That lime tongue.
Now available on Sportsnet's YouTube page. Go check it out. Anyways, Boucher has the 4th most double-doubles off the bench in the NBA since the 2018-19 season.
That's a great stat.
Yeah, shouts to Chris Black. Yeah. You guys should follow him on Twitter. Always got great stats.
Yeah.
People that
baseball as well.
That's where I get all my stats from. That's why you'll hear me referencing him all the time on the show. But yeah, shouts to Thad Young, man.
Oh,
just an underappreciated glue guy. We were talking before the show, like, man, how did he rack up those DMPs at the start of the season?
Yeah.
And I guess the basic explanation was that Koloko was playing a lot of minutes. Right?
Yeah, and we forget, but Precious was one of the more highly touted players coming into this season. So I think Nick had a plan to play him. Obviously, Chris, just is your best bench player, so you can play him. So, like, I get it, right? I think Nick knows exactly what he can get from Thad, but he wanted to see what he could get from Christian. And to be honest, Christian was playing well. But, yeah, I mean, when they have needed Thad, they have turned back to him, and he's delivered every single game. Like, my favorite stat from last night was that Thad Young, in year 16, grabbed more offensive rebounds than the entire Heat team.
Wow.
He had 5 offensive rebounds. The Heat's had only 4 as a team.
Yeah.
Thad Young's like the oldest guy in the building, because Udonis didn't come.
That's not even. No, come on, man. Is that? I'm gonna look up how old Thad is.
Yeah, how old is Thad?
Yeah, please
35.
Talk about Thad Young.
I think he came in like the KD draft or something.
He's 34.
Okay, so I guess Kyle's old. No, but I mean, I'm just saying, like,
no, I get it. He's a vet.
He's such a pro. He comes in, he plays hard. I thought honestly it was really funny watching him go at Nikola Jovic last night. It's just like the rookie got a couple calls on him, and I'm sure as the vet, he was like
Duffer Mall 2-time MVP.
Nah, man, that's really AliExpress Nikola Jokic. Actually, if you order a Nikola Jokic jersey on AliExpress, you will get a Nikola Jovic in your inbox 4 to 6 months from now. But
DHgate.
He was a problem early on. But yeah, I mean, he was kind of going at Thad a little bit. And I thought in that 3rd quarter, during that 21-0 run, my favorite subplot is just watch all the interactions between Thad and Jovic. He's just pushing and like bumping and knocking this kid around and getting offensive rebounds and like getting him to miss and then getting him more offensive rebounds and then scoring the little flip shot. I just appreciate that. I think like Thad is in that, like, he's not as good as Marc Gasol. I think that, like, we got to be very clear on this.
Sure.
But at the same time, it reminds me so much of what Gasol used to do for this team. Wouldn't score that much, but would always have a high plus minus. His effort was always there, played unselfishly, and just like was only there to play to win. You know, like even for some other guys, it's just like it's natural. Like people play for multiple different reasons.
Yeah.
That has no ulterior motives.
No,
He's
it's
just
pure-
here to win the game.
pure
He's going
no
to do
frills,
whatever
man.
you need.
He needs a no frills sponsorship.
Yeah,
No, I
actually,
think,
yeah, he is like a no frills kind of guy.
I think especially during the championship season, I think we got spoiled having so many great vets on the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like think about even Danny Green, right?
Danny
like
Green,
the role that he
yeah,
filled.
Exactly.
Think about even Serge coming off the bench, Mark, and all these guys. And like,
Serge with the unselfishness to come off the bench,
Yeah.
man. He was having a great year.
He was. And I think now, with the transition of the team, watched a lot of young guys the last couple of years. And obviously the younger guys, you're going to have your ups and downs. And, it's just the value of having vets on your team, a Thad Young, an Otto Porter Jr. Like, I want a couple more vets on this team. Like,
I mean,
I do think
we have a good balance now, but
no, I do think eventually maybe when they do make changes to the roster, like they should look at adding a couple more vets off the bench. Like,
I mean, I don't mind it because I think
you put the Jakob Poeltl, Doug McDermott package in my head, the trade package in my head at the start of the season. Now this is all I can think about.
this guy's down bad. What about KD, man? I thought that's a more appealing trade.
Oh,
package.
KD talk coming in the second half. Don't worry.
Are we? Okay, right.
Yeah.
No, but seriously though, like, yeah, I
two
think
more vets. That's all I want. I want two more vets.
there's a dependability factor to it, right? You're seeing with the Warriors this season where they decided, you know what, we're going to move on from our vets. Yes, thank you, Damian Lee. Thank you, Otto Porter. Thank you, Gary Payton. We're going to give you guys your rings. And we're going to go with the young guys. And then they go to the young guys, and they're like, damn, this sucks. We're losing all the time. I mean, it doesn't help that Clay is struggling a lot and that Jordan Poole only plays well with the starters or whatever, but it's just like they're turning to the young guys, and they're like, we can't depend on you guys. You guys come in the game and have all these random little problems, and that causes us to, like...
Can't trust young people, man.
Right,
Yeah.
but, like,
Need
I
more
think
vets.
this is a more productive environment where you give the young guys a chance to perform. But if they're really losing grip of the plot or they're struggling for a few games, you have that insurance policy in Thad that you can plug in at any single time. And you get guaranteed hard play in production. And
Get
also,
off my lawn.
he does have that one. That was him versus Jovic yesterday. The lawn was the paint, and he said, "Get off of it."
Oh, man. No, shouts at Thad Young, man.
Yeah,
my
I'm
two
very happy with
my
that.
two favorite players on this team, Thad Young and Otto Porter. I'm really showing my age. So Raptors are off until Saturday
Oh, nice.
when they're at the Atlanta Hawks.
The Hawks will be looking for revenge. I mean, the Raptors smacked the Hawks last time they played.
And then they don't play again until Wednesday here at home against Brooklyn. So a stretch here for guys to get healthy. And speaking of like the Pascal injury situation, hopefully if he is like a week or two away, he's only going to miss a couple more games.
Yeah, hopefully.
So we'll see about that though.
Yeah.
Not a doctor.
Wow, okay. All right, Fremulon.
I'm just doing the drop so Brandeo doesn't have to do it.
Damn.
All right, man. I need a break.
Not a doctor.
Yeah,
there we go.
There
All
we
right,
go.
we are going to take that break. I'm your host,
Thank
Baloo.
you.
That's Alex Wong. You're listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Liu, joined by Alex Wong, co-host, producer. Alex has prepared a TGIF-style platter of topics for the second half of the show. So go ahead, Alex. You're the host again.
Yeah, I mean, like Thursday is in between Wednesday and Friday, so like it's either a hump day type show or a Friday type show.
I suppose so. Yeah, we're done talking about basketball.
Yeah, that was a terrible explanation. I'm just trying to justify my existence.
15 more minutes.
In general, so like we mentioned, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be in town next Wednesday, and I did email Nets PR to request an interview with Yuta Watanabe for you.
And
they were being haters, and they declined.
Oh.
I just want to know if they ran it by Utah. I mean,
I feel like the Nets PR probably isn't going to be allowing a lot of access.
No, but like, listen.
Just in the current environment around their team.
I used to live in New York for a little bit, had a good relationship with the PR team, and the people are still there. So I messaged my guy Eli because like it wasn't just like a random request. Like he knows me, right. And I was explaining to him the show, but I think you are right on that in terms of them not wanting to.
They're like, so Katie wants to talk to Chris Haynes. Yeah, okay, I guess we can't really stop him. Oh, Katie wants to talk to Mark Spears. We can't really stop him.
Okay,
but you're telling me that these two guys in Toronto want to talk to Yuta Watanabe, who is currently injured, about getting ramen.
No, here's the thing.
No, we're not going to allow that to happen.
No, here's the thing.
I get it.
I'm going to self-evaluate myself on air, and this was a misjudgment on my part. Like, in the email, I didn't include the details about, the long-running, storyline.
That would have sold them?
Yeah, I think that would have sold them. I gotta start telling them, like, I don't know if they care. That's like the #1 ranked basketball podcast.
You probably should.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing
otherwise
that.
they're just like, I don't know this.
Yeah.
But like they're from New York, they honestly don't care about anything, man. They're just worried about
care about what's going on.
No, they're just genuinely trying to get Kyrie not to go on like those kind of shows.
So anyways, he was just like, he gave me the typical, just come to shoot around or come pregame.
No, you know what if I come to shoot around and Utah's there and I bring like a cup noodle or something? Does that count as we had ramen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if he accepts it. Yeah. So hopefully this doesn't get back to Nets PR, man. This guy's gonna get escorted out of the arena at shoot around. Bringing a cup noodle. Yo, who are you? You're like Guillermo from like Jimmy Kimmel.
William in Spanish is Guillermo.
Oh my God. Is that for real?
I think so.
Anyways, yeah. So for people, I know people have been waiting for a Wilu Yuta Watanabe interview of the century. This is what, part 3? It
might be a cup noodle that ultimately stopped.
So we're gonna have to do our own little crack reporting next Wednesday.
Can someone just post up at Ramanishan? Like, Yuta he's gonna go when he comes.
Why don't you post up? The Raptors are playing 2 games in the next week.
I still don't live here. What do you want me to do? Spend all day?
No, I want you to be across the street.
What do you want me to do? Just post up at Sneaky D's with a plate of nachos and look out for Yuta?
On your scooter, just waiting.
It's too cold to scoot now, man.
Skate by him.
Come on.
Oh, man.
Those lithium batteries don't work well in the cold.
So that is the Yuta Watanabe update.
Still a non-update. I can't believe it.
Yeah. I just, I try my best.
Fair.
We saw Vivek Jacob at the arena yesterday.
That's a big V.
Friend of the program. He's very excited about the World Cup. I know you are as well.
Oh, he was describing like entire days where he's gonna wake up at I think 8 a.m. Watch England.
Don't wake up at 8 a.m.
I think Iran is their first matchup.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Yeah, I'll come on your show, but only if we watch the World Cup at 11."
That's right. So you guys are gonna. So Vivek's coming on the program next Monday.
Yes.
And this is actually gonna be the first time it's gonna be me, you, and Vivek in studio.
Right. As if the three of us aren't, friends and we don't talk to each other.
Yeah, my best conversations with Vivek are off air. To be honest, you can attest to that.
We should keep those off.
Yeah, the content is high level.
Play some Louis Satzman level combos.
Oh boy. But. Yeah, you guys are going to go watch soccer at 11.
What do you mean, you guys? You're going to come too, man.
I'm not coming to watch soccer. I'll see you guys here at 2.
Why not, man?
I don't like soccer.
Really? Not even during the World Cup?
If I bet on it, maybe.
Why don't you bet on it then?
Well, we'll see. Anyways.
All right. But yeah, it's Monday.
It'll be fun.
It's going to be, Senegal versus the Netherlands. You're not excited to watch that?
No. So, anyways, we realized too, because of the schedule. I mean, I realized that there's going to be a game at 2 p.m. like every day.
Yes.
So I need you to not be distracted. There's 2 TV screens in here in the studio that we're sitting in.
We're gonna finally turn off the screen that just has us on it.
I'm changing that. No, man. I'm changing that to like Days of Our Lives or something, man.
I'm gonna. Watch
Are you
it
gonna
on my
get mad at me if
laptop,
I ban soccer in here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
No,
you
I'm
can't
watching
be-
it on my laptop.
I need you to carry the show, man, because you know I can only do the sidekick thing, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm a Motorola sidekick.
You know, I might skip USA Wales though. That one does not.
Oh,
appeal to
okay.
me on
USA
Monday, to
versus
be honest.
Wale. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Anyways,
This whole country.
all I'm saying is no. Shout out to Wales, man. All I'm saying is the World Cup's really interrupting like my life because number one, I know you're not going to be locked in on the show.
I mean,
not to
the World
ruin,
Cup dropping and the new generation of Pokemon dropping in the exact same time. It's going to be the productivity is going to be low. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, and also
Might be
like,
a lot of 5 things coming up.
I'm trying to book guests and like I hit up Faisal Kamisa, former global ambassador of the show. Shouts to Danielle too, by the way. We gotta get Danielle back. We gotta get Danielle back in the studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, Faisal, man, won't you come in next Friday? Hang out. Friday vibes. He's like, hey man, Portugal's playing Uruguay, so I'll see you in January.
That's a huge matchup.
I mean, he could come watch it here, man.
We probably should. We should get Derek on to watch it too. Let's just talk about soccer the whole day.
No, man. Just stay top of the charts, man.
We can stay top of charts. The World Cup is like the most popular like sporting event in the world.
Yeah, I'm aware.
It's like up there with the Olympics.
All right. Anyways.
Okay.
You guys are very excited. I'm excited for you.
Yes. Are you excited to watch Team Canada in the Olympics? Can they score their first goal in the Olympics? Yes or no?
I don't know. Which one should I bet on? Yeah.
I don't know if you can bet on them just scoring one goal.
Do you think it's possible they would go the entire World Cup without scoring a goal? Like, do you think that's actually realistic?
First off, the last time Canada was in the World Cup, they did not score a goal.
Yeah.
And when China was in the World Cup in 2002.
Who asked for this comparison, by the way?
They also did not score a goal.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, it's definitely very possible for the countries that I support in the World Cup to not score a single goal. It's quite painful. But, it's a group stage. So you play 3 games. That's all the games you're guaranteed. Yeah, it's very possible that in the course of 3 games, especially if you're an Everton supporter, you're probably going to see no goals. Sorry, Derek. I know Derek's just in the background like, why did I catch a stray for this?
Shouts to Derek Brandeo. Anyways, did you see this Kevin Durant interview with Chris Haynes that he published?
Slipped, and Denver Barr's in here.
How do you have this on demand?
But Barr punishes of all people Steven Gerrard. It's a terrific moment for Chelsea, but an awful one for the Liverpool skipper.
Oh, brother. Oh, my God.
How's there a 27
How did he have this within 2
clip?
seconds, man? That's just like an auto function on his laptop or something.
By the way, I picked up a Liverpool kit, their alternate kit, and I was like,
This man!
I was like, man, I can't wait to rock it. And you're like, yeah, they're not playing for the next month.
I mean, they're not. The World Cup's on.
Man.
Like 7 of their players are at the World Cup.
I'm trying my best to support you.
Okay.
Did I pronounce his name right?
Did you have a name on it or no? It's just a blank.
No, it's just a blank. I like the green with the pink accents. It's great colorway. So
it is quite nice, man.
Yeah,
I agree.
And shouts to my favorite player, Kareem Benzema. Yeah. Anyways, Kevin
you
Durant.
You asked me and V yesterday at the arena who Kareem Benzema plays for.
So what's the NBA comp? Like, is that if I was like, who does Dame Lillard play for? Or who does Kevin Durant play for?
I mean, he's not on KD level, but I think Dame is a good comp. It'd be like not knowing Dame. But he also just won the Ballon d'Or, man. Like that's like the MVP of soccer kind of thing.
Why don't they just call it the MVP?
I don't know. There's like some French awards.
Why does that have to be a table? It's the standings. So Kevin Durant finally talked about his trade requests.
Yep.
To Chris Haynes.
Yep.
Of Bleacher Report. And yeah, a lot of comments here. To go through, and he did explain, because during the summer, as we all know, we talked a lot about Kevin Durant's trade request.
Thank you to Kevin and Rich Kleiman for giving us so much content over the summer.
And Durant basically told Chris Haynes that he just didn't like the way that the team was being run. Like, he didn't like how they were preparing. He didn't like that they didn't have shoot around. Like, they would only have shoot arounds and not practice. Like, he wanted to work on more stuff. He wanted to be held more accountable. He wanted to watch more film, and he just didn't think any of that stuff was happening.
He said, I want to work as a basketball player, and the Nets were like, nah.
And you know what? This all tracks, and I'm glad KD talked about it.
Yes, me too.
Because I think a lot of times when NBA players make trade requests, you automatically think it's just, he looks at his team and he's like, this team's not good enough to win a championship. I don't like the way that you guys have constructed the roster around me. I need to go to a place to win. And in this case, that's not the case. throughout the story, he talked about how, he loves working with the guys and he wants to work with this roster to actually get them to a winning place. And he said good things about Jacques Vaughn. And then he just randomly called out his whole starting lineup.
Yeah, that was a little strange. Where he was just like,
It's just a funny
look
quote,
at who
man.
I'm playing with. What's the quote?
He was like, look at our starting lineup. Edmund Sumner, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, and me. It's not disrespect, but what are you expecting from that group? You expect us to win because I'm out there.
Yeah.
There's no lies there, though.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't believe you actually used that quote, man. That's tough. That's a tough quote.
Anyways, and then he went on to talk about his legacy as well, because I think clearly from the public's perspective, when you look at the Brooklyn Nets situation, a lot of people looking at this like, man, KD's getting up there towards the end of his career. He's got 2 championships in Golden State. Some people value those differently because of the team, and that KD needs to go somewhere where he's in a place to win a championship.
It's the quote unquote bus driver argument that Charles Barkley made.
And KD said that all that stuff was BS. He said, quote, my legacy is predicated on what Cam Thomas is learning from me and what he'll take away to help him by the time he's in his 10th year. That's my legacy. What I did with Andre Roberson, the confidence I helped him build when he was in the league, that's my legacy. Being able to play with Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, and Kyrie and still be me, that's my legacy. That's who I am. I can play with anybody, anywhere, at any time, and I'm going to bring it every day. Man. That should be my legacy.
That's real, man.
These are bars, man.
These are bars. And the other thing, too, is like, I think, because of how much Kevin interacts on social and just honestly, sometimes we're like, just like anybody, like when you face a lot of criticism, sometimes you don't necessarily respond in the right ways and stuff like that. But I think what everyone universally wants from the athletes is to be real. Kevin was really real in this interview. And you can either choose to accept it or buy it or whatever, but like this is his perspective, right? He laid out very clearly why he wanted that trade demand. Arguably, I would say that he should have probably given this interview earlier, right? Around the time of the trade. Like we're talking about months later now. We're getting the justification for it. But like, I think it's really cool what he said. And I think the thing what he said about legacy is true. Like, I think in terms of sports conversations, we always talk about legacy in terms of like, can you live up to these crazy expectations, right? Like for the entirety of LeBron's career, people are like, are you going to be better than Jordan though? Rather than just like, look how good he is, right? And I think that you kind of just take this approach towards everything. Like even with KD, is like, okay, you're great, but are you gonna be as good as LeBron? Look what LeBron just did. Can you do that? You know what? Like, and I guess like a large portion of what the media culture around players has become is just basically like, just hating. Like that's just like it's like that's like almost pure hating in a way. Not to say that it's not a interesting discussion to be had, but it's nothing more than just fodder. I think what he says about legacy is absolutely true. I mean, that's anyone's legacy in this lifetime. Is sort of what you can leave behind, because obviously none of us are going to live forever, and that impact he's able to leave on the next generation. Oh, shout out to Oasis. Yeah. But no, seriously, that impact you leave on the next generation is really all you can really have, right? And when you think about it, like, when we talk about Kyle's legacy, sometimes when we talk about it, it's not just him winning the championship and him getting on these franchise records and winning all these games and turning the franchise around. But it's the impact he's had on other guys, getting other guys paid, being a good vet to guys. We just talked about that with Fred, with Pascal, with OG. Like that is a big part of his legacy. That's what it is in this lifetime. So for KD to say that sounds really cool. And, to me as a Raptor fan, obviously I wanted to see him, get into a better situation in Toronto where he can win championships with us. But, like I think it's also really cool that he's saying like, yes, I want to get, more dedicated to my work and try to make this thing work. Like, I think when you're thinking about the criticism of, yes, we want to see KD go to his own team and win it. If KD went to his own team right now in Brooklyn and wins it somehow with this group, which I don't think is possible, but if he did something meaningful with this group, people should give him that credit because he's actually chosen to commit to it, at least for now, to working with guys like Edmund Sumner and, Nick Claxton, who's actually having a nice breakout year. So I don't know why Nick had to catch that stray, but it is what it is.
Yeah, my cynical side is just that, after saying this now, give the Nets a bit more leverage in these trade talks of KD saying that, he's okay with this Brooklyn situation. So, having said all this stuff, I do agree with all the stuff KD said. At the end of the day, like, your legacy is how you view it too, right? Versus how other people view your legacy. But, just come to Toronto. Just come to Toronto. And you know why he didn't do this earlier? Because half of it was just ripping the way Steve Nash was the head coach, and he couldn't do that until Steve Nash left.
Yeah, I was going to say my favorite quote in here, and he said, that's the type of stuff I was coming at them with. I was like, yo, y'all need to make sure everyone around me can make my life easier. Hell no. I want to make sure everyone else's life is easier. Ask Steve Nash. You can go call him right now. I would say, yo, I would need more closeout drills. We need to practice more. That's what I was on.
He's a hooper, man.
Well, imagine if you're the coach and your star player comes to you. It's like, hey, coach, you need to coach more. That's a tough endorsement for Steve as the coach.
No, but this is the Kevin Durant that we've always known, is that he's just a true hooper.
He's the truest hooper of all time,
He is
man.
so pure when it comes to just the game of basketball. Like, he just wants to hoop.
There's a reason why the ball don't stop rant is about Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Like, when we think about that meme about who you are at the elbow, who you are at the mid-range, your one dribble pull-up, your two dribble pull-up, over the left shoulder, your right shoulder, who you are at the free throw line, like all that stuff, that was about KD.
Yeah, the game is about a bucket, man.
Okay, all right.
And Kevin Durant is a bucket. So,
I respect Kevin, for this.
No, shouts to KD, man. Last thing before we wrap up, I think it was cool too. He talked about obviously suffering that Achilles injury. We saw in the finals against the Raptors just how much joy he has just being on the court.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah.
And again, it just goes back to his love of the game. Truly his love of the game.
Yeah. But love it more here in Toronto, please. All right, that does it for us today. I'm your host, Walu. That's Alex Wong. You're listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks again to our producer and co-host, Alex Wong, board producer, Derek Brandale, Danielle Gauthier for helping us with the YouTube stream, and we'll be back tomorrow. Oh, man. No, us breaking